Hello, hello, and good morning. Welcome back to the Freedom Friday series. This is the third one on creating your own authentic self care. Before we get into that, I just want to thank everybody for the wonderful, wonderful feedback I've gotten on the other series. It has just been so incredible for me and just so energizing. So keep it coming. It's really, really nice to hear. I love to hear what you think. You can always comment in the YouTube if you want, or you can just reply to an email and let me know there. I love it. So authentic self-care. This is going to build on the mindset stuff that we've been talking about. I mean, really everything is about mindset. So hopefully you're picking up on the importance of it, and some things are resonating with you about why it's so important to really look at how we frame things, the words that we use, what is our point of focus on during the course of our day, right? And also, in addition to mindset, is these are small shifts. So that's that turning the dial or the steering wheel. You guys have been hearing me say that over and over. But those small shifts that we make will move us toward our goals ultimately in the long run in the future, because they stick with us then. Okay. And that's where we really recognize true change. Last week we were talking about diet and food and digestion, and talked a bit about the stress response to our gut, also the higher prevalence of gut issues in the world, autoimmune diseases, syndromes that are really tricky for our medical communities to really put their finger on what's going on. A lot of these things are unexplained, but they're very real. I personally believe they're very, very related to our higher levels of stress, and we're not finding ways physically to get that stress out of our bodies. A lot of us just live in a heightened state of stress, whether we know it or not. Our phones are a constant elevator of stress. You know, we hold our breath while we're waiting for a page to load, and we're scrolling and we're seeing likes and this kind of thing. It's an anticipatory response all the time, and it really has an impact on our body's ability to be healthy and well, and our brains, of course, our minds. We don't get a lot of movement in our lives typically. Most of us don't. Many of us do, but most of us don't. So movement is also a way of releasing stress and things like that. So that's important. We weren't really intended to live in a chair, you know, sitting all the time. Our bodies were really developed and evolved for movement and whatever theories you want to subscribe to. But, you know, the only times we would maybe sit would be around a campfire, and even then we would have been squatting, right? So sitting in a chair is physically, it's hard on our lumbar, it's hard on our spine, it's hard on just our bodies in general. So stress, thinking about that kind of thing, and just the way in which we live now, we have to find other ways of de-stressing in our lives, and also incorporating movement. So going back to stress, it impacts our gut. Our gut is 70% of our immune system. So our goal with self-care is health and wellness, right? So low stress is a critical piece of that, or managing our stress levels is a critical piece of that. Our goal here with this authentic self-care, when you're really looking at how to care for yourself truly and authentically, low stress, health, ease with life. We're not looking for difficult challenges, and ultimately fun, right? We want to feel good. We really just, our goal with everything we want in life is that we just want to feel good. If you want to lose weight, it's because you believe you're going to feel good. If you are looking for the perfect partner or soulmate, it's because you believe that you're going to feel better with them in your life. If you want a new car with all the bling, then you believe that that's going to make you feel better. So that's really what our goal is. And then for me, what I've realized too, ultimately, the feeling good piece is ultimately, to me, it translates to freedom. Okay. I feel free when I'm happy. When I feel good, I feel free, right? So hence Freedom Fridays. That's where a lot of this is coming from. Some of my other programs are called Freedom as well. So it's a freedom revolution, folks. We have the freedom to choose to be happy too. So there's the other end of that, is that we have freedom of choice, and we would want to be able to get to a point in our lives where we can easily recognize what that best choice for us is, and you can get there. So we've been doing some movement, some changing where we're taking in new information. So today I'm going to suggest that we do a visualization. And the reason that we do visualization is because the subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So when we visualize good things in our lives, our subconscious takes it as a fact, as though it has happened, as though it's occurred. Remember, we talked about the bicep study where some people were lifting weights and then other people were just imagining lifting weights, lift weight, and they had exactly the same result in terms of muscle tone and strengthening. So that's really what we're getting to here. There's a purpose for positive visualization in your life. So I'm going to ask you right now, you can close your eyes if you want. Take some big, deep breaths. And again, breath is life, right? Our cells need oxygen. Breathing in and breathing out and holding an image in your mind of what do you want? What are you shooting for? What is your goal? If it's weight loss, then imagine maybe what you look like with that, or what does your life look like? Or maybe it's a new career. You know, what changes in your life then? Do you have more freedom in certain ways, maybe more financial freedom or more freedom with your time? And as you're holding this image that you want, this goal that you're shooting for, imagine what you're wearing, how are you standing, what's your posture, and you can take that posture on now and just really notice all the things about that image. Are there sounds associated with it? Are there people that you're with? And just really hold on to that image and let that image just really sink in you, because we want to start entertaining that vision as often as possible throughout our days. And I'm going to challenge you, as you really hold on to that image and that visualization, that you look to this image over and over throughout the next 7 days as intentionally and as often as you can. And that is part of our self-care, is our point of focus. What are we shooting for? What is our focus? So if you had your eyes closed, if you want to come back to me, you can. You certainly don't have to. You can keep reveling in that image. That's totally fine. I'll just move right into the things that we were going to talk about today for authentic self-care. So stress, I've been talking about that. I talked about that last week too. Stress is mental, it's physical, it's emotional, okay? So we really need to think about the impact of that on our bodies, and our body and our mind are intertwined. So when we're imagining ourselves in a goal has been achieved, whatever that image is, it tends to feel lower stress, right? And that has an impact then on our body of actually de-stressing us, lowering our current stress levels. You know, the converse of that is when we are focusing on things that we're worried about, or the what ifs in a bad way. So when we're worrying, we're focusing on a negative, and our body, our subconscious doesn't know the difference between if that has occurred or not. So if we're continually worrying about what's going to happen in a negative way, our body might think it is happening, and therefore we're raising stress levels and creating stress in the body. So the purpose of visualization isn't foo-foo, it's not fluff. There's actually a reason for it. It's a purpose of holding that positive vision, and it has a direct impact on your, not only your frame of mind, but also your physical self. So self-care is truly ultimately about heading for that vision that you just created, that vision maybe you've had for a really long time. You know, our self-care routines, like we can look to the media and you'll see all these lists all the time. 5 ways to better routine, 10 steps to a daily routine, 6 ways to be healthier, right? You have to create the authentic routine that is unique to you. That's why I call this authentic self-care, because it's authentic to you. And it may change over time. It may change with different things in your life. So just like your diet might change at different points in your life, it maybe your life changes significantly, and there are things that change. Therefore, your self-care routine would change. And also maybe in little micro moments, like maybe there's an event happening around your life that you need to change that authentic self-care routine. Maybe you're traveling, maybe you have a company, maybe something else is going on. Maybe your job shift has changed, something like that. Okay. So just keep that in mind that this is an evolving and fluid type of thing. So sleep is critical, absolutely critical to self-care. We talked about sleep a little bit last week and how important it is for gut health and your diet and your physical health. There are people in the blue zones of the world. These blue zones are where people are so uber healthy and they live into the triple digits, well into the triple digits, and they are studying these people, studying to try to find what is it that they do, what are the traits that these people share that make them live so long. And they have virtually no disease, no illnesses, none of this chronic stuff that we see in other parts of the world. So not only do they live in beautiful areas and have great diets, typically, they all say that they get enough sleep. They get enough sleep and they get quality sleep. So those are two huge, huge, huge things to think about. So when we talk about enough sleep, you have to figure out what is enough for you. I'm a 9-hour person. Somebody else might be a 7-hour person. Our general belief is that everybody needs 8 hours. Well, that may or may not be true. You need to figure out how many hours of sleep do you need. And you can do that over the course of a few days when you don't have to get up at a certain time. You allow yourself to fall asleep when you're sleepy and wake up naturally, and then you will start to determine how many hours. It's a little tough to do sometimes, but if you get a 3-day weekend occurring ever, that's a really good time to do that kind of work and just see how many hours do I really need. If you're always waking up tired, that's telling you something. That can be from oversleeping as well as not getting enough. Then your quality of sleep too, this is really, really big. So if you are falling asleep every night because you've overeaten or because you've had too many glasses of wine, something like that, then your sleep quality is certainly not going to be as good as it could be without these outside influences, these chemical influences, because they're both chemicals, right? Now, if you can have one glass of wine and if you have a little piece of dessert and it doesn't seem to affect you, that's totally fine. Most of us can't have just one glass of wine. It leads to 2 and then 3 and then a bottle. That's a struggle. That's a very, very common struggle that people have. And it's then affecting your sleep, your quality of sleep. Same with eating. Maybe we have like a little bit of dessert, maybe a little small bowl of ice cream, and then maybe we go get a second bowl of ice cream, So you're taking in sugar and carbs and your sleep quality is not going to be great. So you want to really look at both of those things and just be really honest with yourself about it. This is not a judgment at all. If you're like, oh, I have to have that glass of wine, I've read that it's really good for me. Well, there are some benefits to wine, but you can get those benefits in other ways too. So if you struggle with moderating, then you can absolutely get the same benefits from something else. You can have a bowl of blueberries instead and you would be just fine. So just think about those things. If you're waking up at 3 a.m. on the nights that you perhaps drink a little more or overeat or whatever, maybe you had too much caffeine in the day, maybe you're sitting watching TV, that kind of thing late and you notice that your quality of sleep is not as good, then those are things to watch for. So I mentioned caffeine, also lights from electronics, lights flashing outside, if you can get some room darkening shades or that kind of thing, if you have that sort of stuff going on, just notice that because you really want to get your good solid sleep and it's to your incredible health benefit to do so. Another way to really ensure quality sleep is to downshift into sleep mode. So a couple of hours before bedtime. If you're on your phone, watching TV at the same time, having those couple of glasses of wine, maybe you just had a caffeine right before then or whatever, had a couple cocktails with dinner, who knows. Anyway, if it's within a couple hours of bedtime, I would recommend that you give yourself a gap, build in a downshift period, build in some downtime where you're not stimulating yourself or taking in things that could negatively impact your sleep. So this will improve building in that downtime. So you can set an alarm on your phone a couple hours before you want to go to bed, to just name it downshift, something like that. And this will not only help the quality of your sleep, but it builds it into a routine for you so that it becomes just not even thought about. You're just like, nope, I gotta start getting ready for bed, and it just becomes easy and part of your life, and that's you taking really good care of yourself. You can also look at whether or not you're getting any downtime during the course of your day. Do you ever stop and just take some breaths? Are you able to get in a little movement, a walk where you're breathing and just not focusing on work or people or other people's needs or that kind of thing? Like, are you giving back to yourself at any point during the day? And again, you can set reminders on your phone. One of the things I've done, going back to that visualization we just did, I would set a reminder on my phone to check in and be like, Lisa, are you living toward that vision? Are you living toward that goal, right? That intention, okay? So part of that can also be a reminder to stand up. If you work in an office setting, you're sitting in a chair all day, maybe it's not an office, maybe you're just sitting, get up, move. I would try to do this every single hour when I was working in an office setting, and I would just get up and walk just for 5 minutes every hour. Doesn't take away from productivity at all. In fact, it increases my productivity, clears my head, and it's good for my body, it's good for my mind, and it's me taking care of me. And that's what you want to do. You want to just take care of yourself. And also, and likewise, if you stand during the day, if you work on a line, if you're in a factory, if you're a cashier, something like that, then are you taking a break ever? Are you ever giving yourself a break? Are you changing your posture? Can you stretch a little, something like that? So just building those things into your day where you are coming back to you throughout the day to take care of you and reminding yourself that you are. And then are you living toward that vision that you have of yourself? And breathing is really, really big. So one trick that I do is every time I use the bathroom, every time I go to the bathroom, whether it's to wash my hands or actually use the bathroom, I take a minute and I breathe. I just focus on my breath. So it seems silly, but it's something you're going to do every single day. So that's just a little trick for building that in. Or you could use your bathroom time for holding that vision, getting that visualization. So it's kind of up to you. The idea is that you just start building those things in so you're always taking care of you. And with authentic self-care and taking care of you, it's a mental, spiritual aspect in terms of your faith, but also your beliefs and that self-talk. What's your mindset? What are you focusing on? What are the words that you're using? How are you framing things? We've talked about this the last couple times as well. What is your point of focus? So just challenging yourself, looking honestly at the stories that you tell yourself about things. Is it positive or negative? Is it light or is it heavy? Is that thought elevating or does it pull you down? Another way to say it is, does the thought feel like love or hate, right? So you're noticing how you feel when you have that thought. You're noticing how those things make you feel. And if they don't make you feel good, we're moving up that scale, small shifts, so that we can at least get to that next elevated feeling, which means changing that thought a smidge to some other story that feels a little bit better. And when I say story, I mean you're creating your narrative, right? So also, when we look at self-care, we want to look at the people that we have around us. We can't always control that. Maybe we have some coworkers who are negative, or maybe we work, in a situation where we don't feel like we have a lot of control. Well, there's other ways of incorporating people into your life. So they say that you are most like the 5 people that are nearest to you. Well, you can control that by finding people who raise you up, who make you feel lifted and elevate you. And you can do this virtually. You can do this online. You can absolutely interact in Facebook groups with groups that make you feel good. You can consume things on social media of people that you really admire and who do make you feel good, and really their story really resonates with you. Those count because it's still your subconscious believing that you're having those relationships, and you are. It just looks a little different than the traditional, right? So your goal then is to have a focus on the good relationships, the relationships that lift and elevate you slightly more often than those negatives. Okay, so if you're in a work setting, it feels like, okay, 8 hours with these negative people. Well, how in the world am I going to get 9 hours of good out of my day? Well, it doesn't have to actually equate to the time spent. It's about the quality of time spent focusing on these different things. So 17 seconds of bliss, really connecting with people who make you feel so good and free, can absolutely counteract an hour of negativity of people who are just right? So it doesn't have to equate to an hour and an hour. It's about the quality of how those feelings and interactions make you feel. So if there are people in your life who are really, really pulling you down and you feel really yucky around them, then you need to really balance that out in other ways or look at making a change, right? And I'm happy to help you sort through that. So you can always reach out. A couple other things about self-care to think about too are the light. What kind of light do you have in your day? Are you under fluorescent lights all day? Do you ever get any natural light? Can you step outside and get a little bit of natural light? We're going to talk more about the outdoors here in the next Freedom Friday, but that's important. It's also important for your sleep that you get a little bit of natural light. There's that vitamin D aspect, but it's also just those fluorescents can also have sort of a negative impact on us. And then color. This is really fun. Color has an impact on us in ways that we don't really necessarily always recognize in the moment. So there was this really amazing study I read about many years ago. They put people in a box up to their neck. Okay, so people stood in the box and the inside of the box was painted different colors. So I don't remember what the colors were anymore, but let's say the inside of the box was red. And they would put people in the box and the people didn't know what color was painted. And they would ask them to hold their arms out straight. And if certain colors, people would hold their arms out so that it was up like this. They thought they were holding their arms straight. And then another color, people were holding their arms down. You can't really see me. They were holding their arms down at an angle. They thought they were holding their arms out straight. So what that tells us is that color actually has an impact on us. So color has vibration. Absolutely. It has a certain vibration and it impacts us. So my point is to be attentive to the colors that you are drawn to that make you feel good, that make you elevate. I used to always wear orange. I had orange all the time and I have since changed and I like burgundy. I'm really drawn to burgundies and purples and that kind of thing. You might be blues, you might be something else. It doesn't matter so much the meaning behind it. They say blue is cooling, yellow is calming, red makes you hungry. Well, it doesn't matter. It just matters what you're drawn to. So if you have an outfit that you wear and you just don't really like the color, just don't wear it anymore. I mean, it can absolutely change how you feel during the day. If there's something that you're bringing into your sphere, into your world that just doesn't feel good, it could absolutely be really related to color. So notice those things. And it's okay if you wear burgundy every single day. It's totally okay. Or black or whatever color it is, right? Okay, so here, let's talk about how we can incorporate some things into our life in for our authentic self-care, right? So your morning routine, we always hear about different ways of incorporating a new morning routine. Well, I'm just going to give you some tips so that you can start shaping your morning routine in ways that are healthy and de-stress us and really set the tone for the day. Morning is critical. It sets the tone for the day, okay? So if you are reaching for your phone right out of the gate every morning, you pick it up, you've got notifications and banners, you're scrolling, right away, you're going to have a dopamine effect. It's going to be a stress elevator. It's going to affect your breathing. Oftentimes we're spending time comparing with others, and then that self-talk starts. So it can be a very negative way to start your day. So I'm going to suggest that you consider just holding off on even picking up the phone at all until you have a really strong morning start to your morning and an intention for your day, okay? So if you set your alarm on your phone, just make some changes to your notifications so you don't have those banners right away when you go to turn off the alarm, so it doesn't pull you toward it, right? So don't sabotage yourself, just change those notifications so you can just turn off your alarm and then practice self-restraint and not pick it up until you've gone through some other things that really set you on a good solid path for the day, for the rest of the day. And another thing I'm going to ask you to consider is news. So maybe you're up, you're having your cup of coffee, and you switch on the news. Maybe it's Good Morning America, maybe it's something else, I don't know, but you've got that running. Even if you don't think you're paying close attention, it's running in the background, maybe something like that. It just had a motorcycle go by. Is the news raising you up? Is it elevating you? Or is it very, very negative, right? So our media, everything, even the Weather Channel, it's all designed to get readers and watchers and followers and likes. And how do they do that? They do that with drama and with alarm. So stress, right? Stress right there. So just be attentive to when you're introducing news and media and that kind of thing. And if it's pulling you down, if it feels like a heightened stress response, if it feels negative, if it feels, and it likely does because that's what it's really designed to be anymore, unfortunately. It's a lot of hype. Doesn't matter if it's factual or not, the way that they present it pulls us in. You know, we know a lot about that now. Think about consuming your news differently. You can still stay current. You can still be a good citizen, if that is good citizenship, to know what's going on in the world. But there's other ways of doing that that aren't at a cost to you, okay? You can sign up for the top 5 news stories of the day. There's a bunch of different news sources that will just collect the stories that they think you need to hear about, and you can consume them in that way. But you don't have to consume them in gulps and gallons, right? You can find out what's going on, stay informed, stay attuned, and again, not at a cost to you. That's what's really, really important. So when you first wake up, before you even lift your head off of the pillow, I'm going to challenge you to consider some things that you really love. Just have them just run through your mind, just a few things. You can even be like, oh my gosh, this blanket on my bed feels so good. You know, it doesn't have to be anything significant. It can be, oh, I had the coolest dream. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember I really liked it. It can be something that you're looking forward to during the day. And it can be the same thing over and over and over. It doesn't matter. You don't have to seek out new things all the time. Just the act of practicing appreciation and gratitude. So this is a gratitude piece. There are study after study after study that gratitude is good for our physical health, our mental health, de-stressing. It's good for our relationships. We have lowered aggression. We have better quality sleep. So much to gain from gratitude. And I would also just put my little spin on it. Appreciation is just slightly different than gratitude. So gratitude to me is very humbling. It's very much like, oh, I'm just so glad to have this in my life. Whereas for me, appreciation is lighter. It's a little bit more fun. So oftentimes I'm like, ooh, I really appreciate, that grass swaying in the breeze. I really appreciate how my kitty cat slinks through the room. And it's just a slightly different take on it. And then periodically there's something that I truly feel ultimate gratitude for. Okay. So both of them work in exactly the same way. Appreciation, gratitude, it's a bit of a semantic thing. It's totally up to you. I used to, whenever the clock would tick to 22, 33, 44, so the double digit numbers like 122 or 344, whatever, I would always just take that as a cue for me to find something, the very first thing that came to mind, something I appreciated or had gratitude for. Sometimes it was really, really hard. Sometimes I'd be like, I'm really glad I'm not dead, or something really crazy like that. But then other times it was just an absolute flood and I couldn't even get it to stop. Like I just found more and more things and it would just elevate me. And the more that I did that, the more I did that for a year. I did that for a year every time I saw the double digits. By the end of the year, it was easy. And the more that I focused on the things that I appreciated, the more things I had in my life to appreciate. So absolutely, it exponentially goes in that way. So the point, when people talk about gratitude, practice gratitude, it's not always easy. You have to be intentional about it. So it's about the intent of really setting your brain, you're starting out your day, just looking at those kinds of things. So again, so speaking of intention, so we have turned off our alarm. We're not looking at our phone. We're going to wait on the news. We have noticed some things that we really appreciate, and then we're going to hold an intention for the day. We're going to set an intention for the day. And it can be that visualization you did at the beginning of this webinar. It can absolutely be that. Or it could be something much closer to you. It can be something about the day, you know. So maybe your visualization, I keep using losing weight, but let's say it's a new career or something like that. So your visualization is a new career, but maybe for today, what your intent is to simply find things about your current job that you really like, that you would like the next job to have. So it can be more immediate, in other words. So setting that intention, and remember that you're holding towards that vision of whatever that looks like for you. And you can, this is another little tip, you can set a reminder in your phone every couple of hours or whatever is reasonable for you. And I would do it for myself. I would have it say something like, am I being my highest self? Am I, Lisa, you know, checking in, Lisa, are you acting toward that vision, toward whatever that thing is? So you can do those kinds of things too. So again, it's because what you're doing is you're acting as if you already have achieved that goal. Your brain doesn't know any different. Your subconscious doesn't know any different. And you will ultimately be, that is the work that you're doing that is going to send you on that way to achieving that vision. Okay. So for example, there was a house I was looking at that I really wanted, and I kept thinking, in that house, I would do yoga every day. In that house, I would be, I would write a book in that house. I would have more coaching clients than I could know what to do with if I had that house. And I kept future focus, future focus, future focus. And so to get me there, I practice that today. Today, I act as if I'm in that house. Like, we don't have to wait for those things. We can build our life to make it look like the thing that we want, even if we haven't achieved it yet. And it gets us there faster, which is pretty cool. Okay, so going a little bit over today, folks. Sorry about that. The evening then. So you're starting out your morning wonderfully. You can consume that news however you want, but in a healthy way that elevates and doesn't pull you down. And then checking in with yourself throughout the day on all those different things we talked about. And then in the evening, looking back on the day, what went right, what was good, what would you not change about your day? We're really, really good at looking at the things we wish were different. Let's look at the things we like and the things that we love and that we don't want to change. So build that in. Maybe that's during that downshift time. And then just go through a couple of things that you are feeling grateful for, that you appreciate too about the day. Okay, just a couple of things. They can be the same things over and over. They can be something new or different. And then thinking about an intention for tomorrow. What does that look like for you? And if you wake up in the morning and you want a different intention, that's okay. The point is you're continually bringing your focus back to what you desire and what you want. Okay. Remember that everything starts as a thought. Every single thing in our world started as a thought. The billion-dollar businesses we have in the world ultimately started with someone thinking of them. They thought of them. Rockets and airplanes started as a thought. Hot air balloons, think of that. Somebody imagined, I wonder if I can make a huge balloon and ride around in the sky. Like, how crazy. And then now look, you could go on a hot air balloon, right? So my point is that every single thing that is in our lives started as a thought. So the work that you're doing when you're focusing on things and you're visualizing and you're thinking, your point of focus, that's the beginning. That's the start. Okay. All right. I am putting together an authentic self-care course, actually, that's going to be coming out in September. So this was a very, very quick, there's so much more that I can share that will be part of the course. So if you're interested in that, just keep an eye out for it. I'm shooting for a launch in September. We're off next Friday because I am going on an airplane camping trip, so I'll be gone. So our next two are perfect for after an airplane camping trip out in the wilderness. July 16th, we're going to talk about nature. And then July 23rd is about the importance of adventure and travel in our lives. So I would love to hear from you. I'm sorry I went a little bit over today. I hope you got some good stuff out of this. And I will see you back here July 16th.